let's talk about a huge disconnect that's happening right now. Our technology is moving at, lightning speed, but it's creating a world that our legal systems were just never built for. And it's challenging the very idea of what it even means to be human.
This quote from legal scholar Andrea Monti just nails it. Technology isn't just getting ahead of our laws, it's creating this, dangerous legal vacuum, a void where our most basic rights are becoming more and more vulnerable.
And this all boils down to one central, kind of terrifying question for this explainer. What happens when the law starts to see you not as a who, a person, but as a what, an object? What's left to protect us then?
To really get this, we've got to start at the very foundation of our legal system. Right now, the core concept of a person is facing a massive identity crisis. An unprecedented one.
The ideas we're diving into today, they come straight from Andrea Monti's incredible book, Lost in the Shell. It's this really powerful investigation into how new tech, like AI and biotech, are basically taking a sledgehammer to the legal building blocks we've always just assumed would be there.
Think about it for a second. Everything from owning property to signing a contract to having rights at all, it all depends on one simple thing. The law has to recognize you as a distinct person. But what happens when technology starts to blur that line?
Well, that blurring, that complication, it all starts with how our identity gets fractured in the digital world. We all have this digital twin, this shadow self that the book calls an informational clone.
This didn't happen overnight, of course. It kind of happened in stages. First, we had our personal identity, just us, our physical selves. Then came informational identity, the version of you that's built entirely out of data points. And now we're at informational identification, where you're pretty much just reduced to a code, a password, a PIN.
And that process creates the informational clone. But here's the thing. It's not just one digital you. It's hundreds. You've got an Amazon you, a bank you, an Instagram you. Each one is a separate, simplified data puppet representing a tiny slice of the real you.
And the big consequence of all this? It's pretty profound. These systems start to value your data profiles more than your actual self. The real, living, breathing you becomes less important than the digital breadcrumbs you leave behind.
Okay, so this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. This shift has real, dangerous consequences. It leads to what Monti calls dehumanization by data. That's the point where we stop being treated like people and start being treated like walking, talking data sets.
This really gets to the core of it all. It's this huge contrast, right? The law was designed to protect the who, a human being with rights, with agency. But today's technology increasingly treats us all as a what, an object to be measured, categorized, and ultimately controlled. And this is not a drill. It's happening all around us. Just think about credit scores, where your entire financial character and trustworthiness gets boiled down to a single number. Or something called people analytics at work, where your value is reduced to a bunch of metrics. We're all being silently sorted into these invisible digital buckets that decide the prices we pay and the ads we see.
And if you think this is some fringe corporate idea, get this. That people analytics concept we just talked about, according to the book, a whopping 70% of executives see it as a top priority. The business of turning humans into data is absolutely booming.
This quote really drives the whole point home. The noumenon is just a fancy philosophical term for the thing in itself. In this case, the actual, complex, messy human being. And in a system that only cares about data, that real person becomes, as Monti says, simply irrelevant.
So this whole trend of turning us into data, well, it's now reaching its final, most intimate frontier, the quest to actually access and decode the human mind itself.
The desire to read minds is ancient. We've been obsessed with it forever. We went from the total pseudoscience of phrenology, reading bumps on a skull, to lie detectors, and now to fMRI scans that can literally watch the brain work in real time. The next logical step, it's brain-computer interfaces, direct access.
And this is a monumental leap. It's a whole new ballgame. We're going from just observing what people do to actually decoding what they think. For instance, there was a study at Osaka University that has already managed to reconstruct images, pictures, directly from people's brain activity. This isn't science fiction anymore.
Monti has a name for this whole process, and it is frankly chilling. He calls it body mining.
It's the idea that the human body itself is the next great natural resource, a mind that can be stripped for valuable biological, behavioral, and even cognitive data.
So where's all this go? It's leading us toward three huge challenges for all of us. First up, the potential for replicable bodies, which completely blurs the lines of what makes an individual unique. Second, we're facing the really unsettling reality of readable minds, which threatens the very last place we have any privacy.
And finally, the ultimate end of this road, programmable identities, where who you are is no longer a given, but something that can actually be manipulated, altered, and controlled from the outside.
So we're left with this massive, critical question. As technology keeps pushing to erase that line between a who and a what, how on earth do we build the new rules, the new laws needed to protect the very thing at the center of it all, the human? That's the challenge. That's the legal vacuum we now have to figure out how to fill.